Hey everybody, welcome to the live show, Upholstery on Broadway, or Broadway Upholstery School, sorry. And here we are, after a week. Last week I want to apologize, I was left to my own devices, and that's pretty much what happened with the electronics here. Patrick tells me that it really wasn't my fault, the webcam or something wasn't working on the computer, but I don't even know what that is. So I could have never have gotten that up, although we did try. Jimmy was here with me. And he's here today, too, for all the fans out there of Jimmy. He's going to be joining me and talk about his latest project. And it's some exciting news about Jimmy is the fact that I was watching him work today, and he's actually increased his speed, which means that he's increased his confidence, which I congratulated him about, that I definitely think that he's in his journeyman stage of a career, which I hats off to Jimmy. Starting a little bit late, you know, he's Jack Benny's age, I think maybe 39. But he's starting late in a trade, and I think my hat's off to him for doing that. And as you guys know, it's hard. The older you get, the less you retain, and it's really difficult. But he's doing a great job, and we'll talk to Jimmy in a little while. So catching up on the Facebook, we're going to get to that, but it's a little slow on Facebook, I think, these days, probably because of the summer and people aren't working a lot on projects, maybe. That's my guess.
Also because we haven't been live.
And we haven't been live. We're live. We've got actually one post on Facebook, but it's a really interesting post by Denise, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I've got some side stories about her pitch, and I'm really excited to get to that. I hope she's watching. Is she on? I mean,
Randy's checking in.
Hey, Randy. I know Randy.
Oh, Randy.
I think Jimmy. That's one of Jimmy's a fan. I think, right, Randy? But Randy, I think, was on waiting anxiously last week. Patrick.
Yeah, I saw that.
We couldn't get on.
I was trying my best to help you out from North Carolina, but.
Yeah, but that's okay. Things happen. Anyhow, we have a full boat today. I'm really excited because I finally think that after a lot of years, I would say 10 years, we've been doing the YouTube videos, and I really feel like we've got the product tweaked to a point now, and I think Patrick would agree with the camera angles and the audio and everything. It makes me wonder how Patrick did it, Patrick and Michaela did it in the old place. I don't know how he did it because, you know, he didn't have central air. We have central air here. We have a carpeted floor. Patrick's got his sound equipment just where he wants it, the lighting where he wants it. This place isn't going to be used heavily like the other place was, so he's got it, I think, finally tweaked, and so we're happy about that.
And we're still, I know people thank you for still bearing with us, because it's going to take a little time to get used to have everything perfect, but we're almost there.
Oh, you're such a perfectionist. I think...
But here we got an announcement when it comes to that. You know what it is?
No, what is it?
We have now reached 15,000 subscribers on
Whoa,
YouTube.
Where are the balloons? Where's the
So
champagne?
we'll post our video soon, right?
Oh, we have a new video.
Well, no, we already filmed the 15,000 subscriber video.
We did.
Because we knew, just to have it, remember? At Yellowstone.
As promised, we are going to have some more content on YouTube because we know a lot of people rely on YouTube for their sustenance in upholstery. And if you look over, I don't know if you can see the Turkish chair measurements over here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's our latest video. It's going to be a little bit a while, I think, coming up, though, right?
Next week we'll post it. We
That's
finally
good.
filmed the new one.
I'm really excited to show people. A lot of people might not know what a Turkish chair is and how it's constructed, but what we did was a little deconstruction on that, and also we measured it, and it's really interesting how it measures out. It's all hand tufted, and I think you guys should stay tuned for that. And we promise, I think, Patrick, what we should get used to is when Jimmy comes in to do at least 1 or 2 YouTube videos before he gets here.
Per week, yeah.
Yeah, I think Mondays.
We're on that.
We got to get. We have to get into that routine. I know summertime's a little hard because people want to go away and everything. But I think come the fall, we're really going to start producing a lot. We really want to hit this hard because we're hearing from our fans. They like what we do. They like me. They actually like me talking on the YouTube videos.
Really?
So yeah, we heard from Janine, and she's one comment I'll get to in a minute. But I think as far as business, Patrick, does that update us on the business?
Yep.
We covered the YouTube, the Facebook.
Yep.
How many people on Facebook, do you know?
I have to go on and check.
Jimmy might know offhand. Jimmy, do you know?
200.
A couple hundred.
A couple of hundred. And
Yeah,
Jimmy,
yeah.
we want to thank Jimmy for being, he's a great
I know, it's
administrator.
great.
I mean, this is one thing that we don't have to do really, and Jimmy does it. He's an administrator, and we really appreciate him doing that. And I think that the online classes are doing well. They're up and running as usual, and we're going to be adding. When is the next new online class, Patrick?
Well, we're starting editing it this week. Bernice is. She already did the Parsons chair.
Yeah.
This one is the. What would you call it? What would you call that one? She did that big, the blue one. The blue slipcover.
That's funny. That's an old name for that would be a Cogswell chair, but nobody would reference it to that. Most people would think of it as a Davenport chair. It looks like a Davenport. It's got very square lines. It's a very boxy looking piece of furniture.
So she made a cool slipcover for that. So that's the next class going up by the end of the summer.
Actually, I advise people who are just beginning in slipcovers that the reason that I think she picked that, and she's been picking these projects, these first projects, they're very all straight lines, just to get people used to maybe sewing on that end of things and cutting. She's going to, I think, start to get to more difficult pieces like curved pieces and things like that, or tufted pieces, and that would be more challenging for people. So stay tuned for that part of the online classes. We're kind of excited about that. The thing that Bernice doesn't do, she's not teaching somebody live, Patrick. So it's a little bit of a different format, right?
Just
She-
her, but
by
she does a
herself.
good job.
She's really good though, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah.
It's serious. Like she does a.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I think some people will like it over the kind of the. Well, we try to ease it up a little bit. Jimmy and I and Michelle on the online classes. It's not like the question and answer. You'll see the difference when Jimmy comes up here. We have a little fun.
And Michelle, speaking of Michelle, she's coming back soon.
Oh, Michelle. I don't even know if Patrick knows this. Michelle came into the shop down in Arlington with her ottoman that she had questions about. And I just, with her, it was like, she was doing a great job. She was just, I just told her to staple in between. She had it all pin stapled. It looked good to me. So she's good. She's I don't think that's a bad thing to be self-critical. I think that's actually essential to be self-critical.
Well,
Jimmy,
yeah,
where you going? I sneak it out, you guys.
So wait a minute, I'm supposed to hit the lights first. I'll be right back.
Okay.
But no, when it comes to Michelle, she's looking for her next piece.
Yes.
But maybe you can ask the audience if anybody knows. Tell the audience what we're trying to do with that chair on our logo. Maybe somebody out there can find one for
Patrick
us.
wants to find a chair like this. Now, this was created. You guys created this chair, right?
Yeah, it was just a clip art. Move the chair so I can show everybody.
If anybody has a chair, the closest thing that we're going to get to that chair, Patrick,
Yeah.
and if somebody wants to donate it, is a Thayer Coggin chair. It's what we call what I call space age chair. And we have one YouTube video called do you remember that space age chair that we did?
Yeah.
That's on YouTube. That's an example of the style. It's kind of an outrageous style. If you look at this chair, it's not comfortable to sit on, I can tell you that. And if you guys want to see the chairs that I'm talking about, the movie Men in Black, when Will Smith is being interviewed by the Men in Black to be a Man in Black, they have him in a room. They have an Air Force guy, they have an Army guy, they have a Marine or whatever, and they have him. He's a cop, right? And they have these chairs just like this. They look just like this. So you should go to YouTube and check it out and see what I'm talking about. And what they're doing is watching how people handle the seating. And this is interesting from an upholsterer standpoint, Patrick. So they're all uncomfortable. They're asked to write something. They're all sitting in the chair just like that. And they can't write because the chair's so uncomfortable. So what does Will Smith do? He pulls up the only table in the room. He pulls that up and starts writing on the table like that. But if you want to see an example, if anybody has anything like this and they want to donate it, we would be interested in that, right, Patrick?
Yeah, because we're going to be, you're going to reupholster it black.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Why black?
No, because of what it is there.
Because of that. Maybe a little trim, a gold trim down there.
And we're going to put it in the window in Arlington.
And he's going to ask me to upholster it, you guys. Patrick doesn't know what he's asking about.
Well, no, I said if we find one, people should know that Michelle will probably feature that in her next class. I don't know if she wants to do it.
I think she would be, if she could, I bet she could tackle this. I mean, between her and Bernice, We would probably have Bernice in on this because she's the expert cutter and measurer. So we might have her in on this to see if we could do it, if we do find one like that.
I know it's a lot to ask, though. I have to pick a complicated chair for the logo. It's my
Some
fault.
people call them egg chairs, EGG, egg chairs too. So if anybody has one or knows where there's one, let us know. But anyhow, let's get to business. Before Jimmy gets back, Jimmy made a mysterious exit. We don't know where he went or why he left. Patrick, did you say something to Jimmy?
I think Michaela did.
Well, now, you know what? Now would be a time to lock the door if you want. Just, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's get to the YouTube, because we have a lot of them, I think, Patrick. We have like 15.
Yeah, we
or
got to catch up from last week. And
So
everything.
number one, on the Upholstery Show Live, which was 2 weeks ago, somebody wrote nice.
I included everything on here, even the short one.
That was Helter, it says, PC, I think. Let me take my glasses off to read this. And then we have how to make double piping. First time seeing double piping, amazing, thank you. And that's from Holmes. Thank you. Try to break it down as much as I can. We got a comment on one of our videos. It was Patrick erases the negative comments. I don't think you should do that.
Well, only there was one that was like littered with swears.
I know, but what this one was frustrated. They were frustrated when they were watching me do a slip seat, and they were saying, "How to make something easy complicated?" And that I was thinking when I saw that, that's typical of somebody that is either really good at hand skills or as an upholsterer or whatever. But they don't realize that, you know, sometimes we forget, we being master craftsmen, you know, we forget a lot of what we've been told. A lot of it becomes mechanical. So the breaking it down like that is for the beginner, you know, pretty much. And if you don't like it, just go through it to the end or whatever. But anyhow, I don't mind the negative comments as long as they're not laced with swears like that when you're talking about Patrick. So the next one is Bentwood Rocker Restoration Part 2. Thank you so much for these in-depth tutorials. I will be following each step to upholster my rocker. You know what the hard thing about rockers is they move when you're upholstering them, right, Patrick?
Can you take the thing off the bottom?
Well, yeah, we have a way of doing that. We show that on there, you know, with the yardstick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like upholstering a stone going down a hill. That's hard to do too. And here comes Jimmy. Now Jimmy's coming in now, you guys. He's making his way down the studio audience.
The red carpet.
Oh, watch out, Jimmy. He looks like Seinfeld. Remember Kramer and Seinfeld? Thank you, Jimmy. We'll get to you in a minute.
No, yeah, thanks. I have number 3456.
The Upholstery Show Live. Janine says, this must have been 2 weeks ago. We were talking about how I talk too much, right, Patrick?
Yeah, we should talk about that every week, I think.
She says, hi, I love hearing you talk when watching you upholster. I've watched the guy, we won't mention his name, but Patrick knows who it is, who just films and while it's interesting, having you say the tips and why of things helped me learn a lot. The new studio is great, very clear audio. This is really important stuff for us to hear because, you know, we don't know, do we, Patrick, sometimes?
No.
FYI, yes, I've watched every video at least once. Did you hear that, Patrick?
Wow.
Janine's watched every video at least once. That's only about what? How many hours of viewing is that?
Oh, I don't even know.
Gotta be
That's
200.
awesome.
Thank you, Janine. You must be sick of me. Often, several times over before a tricky part of upholstery for me. That's good. That, you know, the advantage, you guys have such an advantage over me when I was learning, is, you know, you were just shown once, expected to take it, and if you didn't, you know, nobody really, people got frustrated very easy when they were teaching because I got taught on the job. It wasn't like I was paying for it either. I was getting paid to be somebody else other than upholstery, you know, to deliver the furniture when I first started. But, you know, they didn't have the time or patience. And what you're seeing is, and you can replay it. I mean, it's amazing. You know, Janine, I think it just accelerates a career. I think it accelerates your skill level when you have this opportunity here. You know, and we use it for other things, right, Patrick? YouTube for other things. You didn't you change the shoes on your brakes using YouTube?
Yeah, I watch a lot of auto body stuff.
He does a lot of that. That's amazing. I mean, how much of a job would that cost normally? We save money, don't we, you guys?
Mhm.
Okay, she goes on to say, thanks for another lesson in measuring. I always need to do we did a measuring on the question and answer, remember, Patrick?
Yep.
So that's what Janine's talking about. I always need to do an actual layout on graph paper when I'm railroading fabric. I don't know what it is, but at least I've never messed it up this way yet anyway. So that, hey, listen, whatever works, Janine, but you remind me of a customer I've had recently. A nice guy comes in. Soon as I'm from a police family, so I think I got a little bit of my father's observing people, and I'm a good observer. And as soon as he came in, boy, I knew he's scientist, engineer. Those two things came to my mind. Just the way he was walking in and his whole body language. And I even said to him, and I've done this with people. I had a guy come in one day a few years ago, big guy. He opens the door and he marches up to me, almost right to me. This was before COVID. And I said to him, what PD are you on? He says, how did you know? Chicago PD, how did you know that? I said, come on, the way you came in. Nobody opens the door, marches up to somebody like you did, unless they're either a cop or military. And I tried to tease him a little bit when he said, he didn't offer up Chicago right away. He said, how did you know I was PD? I said, because of the way you walked. Let me guess. And I tried to guess which department, but I didn't guess Chicago. But I guessed that he was a cop. So this guy comes in. This reminds me of what Janine said about graph paper, right? So he comes in. He's an engineer, and he starts. He's got 6 slip seats, and he's got a floral pattern with a stripe behind it. So, and he had just barely enough fabric to do it. I knew right away, looking at it, I had just barely enough. And he seemed to be confident too. And then he said to me, now I want these exactly the same. I said, I'm going to do them for you. I'd like to do your work. I said, but do not take your tape measure out and measure each one of these, because it doesn't work that way in upholstery. So I had to kind of set them straight. Patrick's got a question? Is there a question, Patrick?
Yep, from Randy. Michaela's in it.
From Randy. We all, by the way, you guys, as usual, I didn't mention, question and answer live. This is the time to ask your questions, and we'll always interrupt me when I'm talking to answer something.
But I just want, before she reads that, Gabrielle made a good point. She seconded what you were saying about those chairs that they're really hard to find.
The Turkish?
For the logo.
Oh, their cog and egg chair.
Yeah, she said very hard to find.
Because they're so expensive.
Right.
Okay, so Randy has a question?
Yes, Randy says, have you ever taught in a classroom setting where you have about 10 people all with different projects? How did you handle that type of teaching?
This is Randy.
Yes.
Now, I hope Randy's asking for that he wants to do this, because I think Randy's an upholsterer, Patrick.
I would assume, because he also just said he's taking a break from cutting fabric to join the Q&A, so that worked out good.
Oh, good. So 12 people is the answer at once, and they all had different projects. They all
12?
had 12.
And who is your staff? Michael?
Well, there was a guy
Yes,
that...
I did a lot of them.
I'm going to confess something to Jimmy. I've never actually told him this, but men are funny when they take a class in almost anything, but in upholstery, all the men who took the class, it's like they have to have a certain amount of area. So, Jimmy would come in with his, I don't know, he had a backpack, a suitcase, a roll-up duffel bag, his tools, his coffee.
And then your father says, if you can take this quarter away from me, you may leave.
I had 12 stations set up, and he took 4 of them right up. I said, Jimmy, you're going to have to condense yourself a little bit. I think guys are like this, aren't they? Michaela,
No,
you know.
I think
Michaela, you know.
guys reach
what I'm talking about.
Well, the very first class I took, I was the only guy in the class.
That's true, and you took up 4 spaces. All these little ladies, they come in.
No wonder why they were on top of me.
We won't talk
I feel
about
bad for them. I'm going to deal with Jimmy.
Well, you know what? Jimmy was the spice everybody liked. Are you kidding me? They didn't ever meet anybody quite like Jimmy, but he was always respectful, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, we had a good time.
You were controlled. You weren't. You were polite.
Well, I think what you're saying about 12 people.
12
Randy's
people.
question.
So
is that
Randy,
this kind of ties into what we did over at the Lexar.
Oh yeah, Lexar.
We ran into that problem with filming it.
We
That
could
ties
not
into how you do
film.
it.
You cannot film we found out we couldn't film. We had a fantastic space in all of New England. I would say I was not going to get a space like this, and I loved the space. The space was wonderful. We had windows on both sides. We had a huge mirror at the end of the class. All indications it would be a great place to film, but the acoustics were a nightmare, Patrick.
Well, I didn't think that was the problem. It ties into Randy's question about how you taught it. That was the main
You could
problem.
not keep up with me.
Yeah.
Because
It's not
Patrick
like-
tried. He needed the big camera, right, Patrick?
Right.
And he couldn't keep that in his shoulder for more than, 5 minutes? It's heavy. It gets heavy, right?
Yeah, and the problem was that they all had different projects, so you couldn't follow every single one.
And he couldn't keep up with me. So you have 12 people. They have different projects, and they have different stages of where they're at with their project. Some people had a frame. Some people had it reupholstered. Some people slip seats. We couldn't do love seats and sofas, but that... So when you see me doing a class like that, Patrick was I probably impressed you, Patrick, with the, Patrick didn't think I could do it. It's calisthenics. You're squatting, you're standing, you're talking,
Yeah, it was very
you're holding a
fast-paced.
hymn. It's like fast paced, and all kinds of things happen. This guy, remember the guy, he cut his finger,
Yeah.
and then he had to go, and then this lady's, she just cut a chair wrong. Another one's working on a fabric that had a print of Marilyn Monroe on
That
it,
was
so that was a little distracting.
And that's what he found. That what's the K-pop or something?
The K-pop,
Yeah, yeah.
it was like bing, 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 and I just don't think you could learn from a viewer like on this format. We learned that we just couldn't do it. It might make an interesting comedy show maybe or
Well,
something.
if you did a documentary, you would have to make it at least 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Well, you got so much footage. I want to do something with it at some point.
But-
no, it's not like in our class where you go in, right, and they say you're working on this today, and everyone does the same thing.
Well, that's what the Ottoman's all about. That's why we did the Ottoman.
that would have
So,
been easy to film.
The Ottoman, everybody has the same Ottoman. Everybody starts the same spot, and they're available, right, Patrick?
Yep.
The Ottomans are available on Broadway Upholstery. We're not kind of surprised, Patrick. We haven't sold many of those. I think they may look daunting for people, especially beginners. What do you think
Well,
about
people like the video, so that's all that matters.
Oh, they
It's
bought
feature-
the video.
They do just the video, and that's fine because that's the whole point of that video. You can apply it to anything.
That's
It
fine.
doesn't have to be the
You know, and I would advise that if you want to learn basics. But if I've been trying to get, I think Janine was going to do a class, Patrick. We have to ask her. Is she watching right now?
Probably not. She's on different time zone.
Well, somebody out there was going to do a class.
Well, Randy says, part-time position at a local tech school. Thinking about it.
You know, I would encourage you, Randy. I could tell from the questions that he asks that he could do it.
I take his class.
I think
I have a
he's.
good time with it.
I think he's good. I think he's got a sense of humor because he's watching this. I think he does. I think he could do it. I would encourage him, but you know what I would do if I were you, Randy? Start with 6 at the most. Don't do. I don't know how old you are, and how much energy you have, but boy, it's work. You work. It's hard. It's hard because you're teaching and you're moving around at the same time.
Like, sum it up. So what would you say? So you fast-paced with that amount of people, all different projects.
Yeah.
Different
He-
learning curves.
Because he wanted to know the type of how to handle that type of teaching. So I think that's pretty much.
It's really tough, and then there are the learning styles. You know, people. I learned very quickly myself that everybody has learning styles. So I think I've mentioned this before. One of my first classes, I had everybody close their eyes, and I said, okay, take the piece that you have, put it in your mind's eye, and now you're hovering over it, and now you're going around the side of it, and now you're going inside of it, and you're going out. You're trying to. And I opened my own eyes, and everybody had their eyes open. They were just looking at me, and they were saying, most of them said, we can't do that. So that's a talent, that's a skill to have, that you could close your eyes and three-dimensionally look at a piece of furniture. I think artists are like this, right, Jimmy?
I believe so,
And
yes.
so I was talking to a nurse, she said, surgeons have to be like this, heart surgeons, for instance.
You're kidding.
They have to think they have to know, they have to be imagining what's happening under the heart as well as on top of the heart, right? So they have to have that ability to see three-dimensionally. So I learned early that teaching styles, so you have to adjust to each person's teaching style. Some people come with anxiety,
Yes.
you know. Some people come with, maybe too much knowledge. For instance, an engineer, and they have different ways of looking at things, like, So anyhow,
Anywho,
Any questions right now? No? So,
So Randy says he's 63, max class size is 16. Wow.
what?
wow.
Minimum is 8. I
Holy
guess that's the
cow.
place that maybe he
Well,
acquired
I
at.
expect to do a lot of walking.
You definitely need an assistant. I'm telling you that right now, Randy. Hire one of your best friends or something to assist you, somebody that has a little knowledge of at least the tools. But that's a lot, and you're my age, man. I'm 63, and I'm telling you something. I don't know if I could keep up with the class like that now. You saw me at Lexington Arts, Patrick, and those. How long is the class? Are they
Is
offering?
it 2 hours or something like that? How we did?
Two and a
it was
half,
like-
3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Well, when we
This-
had it, we
this-
did it in Arlington, it was like 3 hours.
Yeah, this sounds like a tech school. I bet they make them go 4 in the morning.
That's what he
and
was saying.
4 at night. Is that right?
Or Gabrielle says, yeah, she does that mind's eye thing.
She does.
Yeah, she's a visionary.
Congratulations, because I think only about 10% of the population can do that. All right, so we get, and
Number
don't quote
5.
me on that one, but Denise says on the Upholstery Show Live, which was probably 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
great show this week, helpful tip on railroading the fabric. If you could not railroad the fabric for this chair, need to sew 2 seams to the base, where would the 2 seams be? She's talking about a swivel unit that I did. I would put them on the sides, the seams on the side. I wouldn't put them on the front so that you're looking at the chair and you see the seams. So that's the answer to that. But isn't that interesting? The whole thing, we railroaded it all based on just that one small base of the chair. But another indication that you have to measure everything before you start cutting. That was the lesson in that one, I guess. Gina says, fixing a pop button for free. She says, would this work on a leather couch? My button is still attached, but it keeps popping off. I think it would work with leather, but you have to be really careful you don't tear the leather. Remember that free video I did was something that I just engineered myself with the thought that some people might not want to buy the kit on Broadway Upholstery. We have the kit that does it properly. It's used a German needle and the clasp and the nylon thread it comes with. You can use your own scissors on it, but it's the proper way of doing it. I was showing a way where people don't want to buy that kit. They can do it out of the home tools that they have. And I would say that be very careful with that method that I show you, because it's just something that I dreamed up. So I think we've heard back from people have been able to do this, Patrick.
I noticed they either love that video or they hate it. I think it's a hack.
Maybe the one, but I always say, give me a break,
Either they love it or they hate it. They say that's awesome, or this is that's
For the
a
ones
lazy
who
way.
hate it, think it's a lazy way, and there's the hack way. Yeah, well, there must be upholsterers, and they have the German needle.
They don't get it's the whole point of that video is for
Do you remember how much that is, Patrick? That kit, by any
the
chance?
sewing kit.
No.
That's the cheapest one we have.
The-
That's only about what, $60?
Yeah, but $60 for a pop button. Think about it. A lot of people don't want to spend that. I
No,
don't
I
blame
know.
them.
Yeah.
So I'm just offering an alternative. That's all. Tracy from DIY Upholstery Sofa Part 1. Excuse me, you guys. Patrick, you got a red light flashing over here.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh. Now,
The battery?
don't lose it now. If we lose it for the second week in a row, we're gonna be known as the guys that can't deliver. We don't want that.
Everything's set up. Should be set up. I'll
So-
change it, but 1 second, guys.
And we're back. Jerry, you
Well, I
dated.
thought if Patrick took a little longer, I'd get a sneak out the door.
Jimmy's thinking of sneaking. We're gonna get to you in a minute, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
you always say that. Yeah.
Tracy says this is the most fascinating. Listen to this, Patrick.
Right.
Oh, it's not the pop button though. It's the DIY. She says, "This is the most fascinating thing I've ever watched. I never knew how much it went into upholstering furniture. Isn't that nice?
Very nice. Yes.
Where does she live? Hey, did you write that?
Hey, you Dad.
And then Sally says about the vintage 1950s Danish chair, how do you sell a chair like this? Well, I think she doesn't understand the concept of an upholstery shop, which is we're doing clients' furniture. They love their chair, and they're paying for it to reupholster it. For all you guys out there or ladies who want to start a business where you collect furniture and reupholster it and put it in a showroom, forget it. That does not add up to anything, to be
We
honest.
tried that. Not actually.
I actually had to let Patrick go through the process of that, knowing that.
Well, I thought it'd be different with the videos attached to it.
Yeah, and I think we were lucky. We did sell one, but I think it was just luck that it was just worked out that person wanted a blue sofa, but it's really difficult to do something like that. Storage is a real problem. So that's one of the biggest obstacles, really, in any business, is moving things. It doesn't matter what business you are. If you have retail space, and Randy, I bet, knows this, and all you guys who operate any type of business, I don't care if you're selling Scotch tape, or you're reupholstering, or whatever, you have to move things. If you have furniture sitting there, or Scotch tape sitting there, it's collecting dust, you've got a problem in your business. It has to be moving. Merchandise always has to be moving. So, and when you're dealing with bigger pieces of furniture like this, you need more space. That means more money, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not a good business model whatsoever. Linda, Pat, a cane dining room chair. I first want to say a big thank you. I was going to throw my accent chair in the trash. Then I came across this video showing how to get the job done. I'm now going to try and reupholster this chair. I'm so excited to take on this challenge. Wish me luck. I wish you luck. And that's our quiet compressor that's going off.
Quiet.
It's the quietest one I can get. So Barry, this is the womb chair restoration. And I was nuts on this one, you guys, and I tell you why. I was just a madman because I just needed to get this thing done. And you see me kind of in a light that usually you don't see me. There was even a little bit of talk about anxiety when I'm doing these chairs. I always get a little anxiety because they look impossible to do. But let's see what Barry says. I enjoyed your video. Nice job. I'm an upholsterer in Australia.
Wow.
And this is interesting. And of similar vintage to your good self. And it seems to be the skills are universal. And the only thing that differs are the terms. And this is interesting. We call it a slip stitching and temp back. Looking forward to watching your other videos. Isn't that interesting? So in Australia, I think it is universal, and I think that terminologies are interesting to me. Different terminology, but same process. Froggy says, "I love this guy." That must have been.
That must have been Jimmy. Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. The $10 check is in the mail. Making
$10 check.
Bryant says, great teacher on the how to make double piping. Frida says, this video is so helpful. She's talking about the basics of fabric. It has already helped me to avoid mistakes. And I guess that's interesting that we do that, right, Jimmy?
Yes,
We avoid mistakes
try to.
with watching the videos, especially the online classes. Eileen says, thank you. 3 thank yous for pricing the upholstery business. I think that's somebody that probably didn't have a clue as to what their worth was. And maybe I taught them, just how you can justify your pricing. And I think that video, you can use that video to talk to your client about why. People look at me sometimes and say, why is it so much? And they just want you to, maybe justify it, and you can, I think, based on that video. Clarice, she says, on deconstruction of a dining room chair. Hi, Kevin. The chair in your video off to your right side with oval back. Can you do a demonstration on how to deconstruct that particular chair? I have those chairs. I almost paid to have them upholstered, but I think I can save myself money with watching your videos. Thanks in advance. I'm sorry to say that those chairs are long gone. We moved, what I was just saying, right? You have to move things in and out so fast, which is one of the reasons why, Patrick, there's not many. I think we have A to Z's. That's fine. We did as many as we could, right? Mm-hmm. The reason you don't see more of them is because I'm an active custom shop, and sometimes we just don't have the time.
That's why we do quick tests.
It gets in and out. Now we get to the Facebook. This is what I've been waiting for, Jimmy. Now Jimmy's going to be bored with this, but that's okay. Denise posted this great. Do you remember seeing this? It's. Well, I'll just read it. She says, yes, that's cambric. Do you got this up, Patrick?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, that's cambric hanging out of my birdhouse. Upholsterers recycle! Exclamation point. At first, when I saw it, I thought it was a crow's wing hanging out of it.
I thought it was a wig.
Yeah, it leads to. I had this great idea. A couple of stories associated with this. It just brings up my creativity when I see this. One of them was, if you have an old Victorian chair that's just. It's just at its last life, and it's just some pieces get so old and crickety you just can't do anything with them. Let's say a Victorian side chair, okay? And if you want to see what I'm talking about, you can go to the 1860s chair, something like that on YouTube. Excuse me. I was really excited when I saw this because I had an idea years ago, and I never was able to do this, but it would be simple to do, and maybe one of you guys can do it. I was thinking that because older furniture has everything organic in it, right? No latex, no foam, no nylon threading or anything like that. Nothing toxic at all. That I was thinking first that you could put it in your garden. It would just melt into the garden. It wouldn't cause any harm at all. These older pieces of furniture, because you have horsehair, you have burlap, hay. I don't think anything harmful. Cotton, wood. So I was thinking that you could take a chair and just cut it down the middle and just kind of like a surgeon does, and just open up the chair and just leave it in your garden to see what the birds would do with it. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be great? I mean, you could actually maybe pick out a little bit of the horsehair just to encourage the birds, or maybe even put some bird seed down there to encourage the birds to use it. When I saw Denise's post, I'm saying, hey, they do use upholstery materials to build.
At our house, I think you spilled some cotton once or something. I could have sworn I saw them use the cotton would be perfect.
Well, the cotton, the horsehair, I think anything in an older chair, Patrick, if you just opened it up. I would love to be able to, if we had time. You know how they put cameras on something like that?
Yeah,
and
building it, yeah.
And they speed it up to show what the birds are doing. So that's one story that came to mind. The other one, I hope Patrick doesn't mind me talking about this, but
well, I'll say one thing. I'm pretty sure that in Arlington, if you were to look at the bird's nest in that shop, all the cotton you spilled in the back there, and feathers, I'm sure they've used all of that at some point.
That's kind of a neat feeling that they might have used it for their homes, all this upholstery stuff. Yeah, you're right, Patrick.
Look at all the stuff in that back alley that you spilled.
So when Patrick was young, really young, about 5 or 6, Patrick, when we used to tell those stories to you, those childhood stories, you probably don't remember a lot of them, but there was one story that I told about a French needlepoint factory, or yarn factory, let's say, where they had a dumpster in the back and they used to put all their beautiful ends, needlepoint ends, all different colors of a tapestry. Think about the colors of a rainbow. And threw them in this dumpster, and the dumpster was open, and the birds of the area would use it for their nests. So what wouldn't be uncommon, you're walking in this beautiful French city and you look up and you see tapestries in the sky and the trees that the birds have used from this dumpster. So we went on, we did a long story about that. So Patrick and I, at one point, we were going to do a YouTube channel, right, Patrick? Mm-hmm. With stories that we told Patrick when he was young. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that, could we?
No, just too busy with this channel.
So we never got
about another channel.
But we had hundreds of these stories, all different types of stories that we were ready to do. But we are busy now, so maybe someday, Patrick. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that aside. Now, Jimmy, we got to Jimmy. So he's asleep or he's dead. He's dead. Jay, upholsterers don't die; they always recover.
Well, you're stealing my line.
That's never been heard before.
Ah, I just made it up, sure. Come on up here, Jimmy, while you...
Upholstery Monthly is just not doing well at the newsstand. It's got to resort to.
They're gonna have to get him on there.
Yeah, see, Jimmy was, I think all of the, I think he was bored to death. Do you want to come up here, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
He's sitting in the, actually, you might want to turn around to see the Turkish chair that he was sitting.
Oh, I didn't know I was sitting in.
That's the one.
Jimmy was sitting on the Turkish chair that we have the measurements over here for, on that YouTube video, so pay attention to that, you guys coming up. So Jimmy,
Well, is this how many hours is this going to be? How many?
Jimmy, I would say it's going to take me 40 hours to do that chair.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's all hand tufted and it has to be hand.
Well, then this will be. Why don't you bring that up and you give that to?
Well, that's a customer's chair.
Oh.
So
Oh.
they pay me to do the chair, not
Oh.
somebody else.
Oh.
Well, Jimmy, so why don't we talk about your new project on the online classes?
Another disaster underneath everything. I had 3 different types of staples. I had a covering on the fabric, and basically it was just one pattern over another. And we still I actually have to take this home tonight and do some cleaning on it, the trimming and some of the extra nails. What we're going to do, it did have the, we were putting on webbing, and we're going to be making this a, whoop, okay. Yeah, you're taking my time there, young man. We webbed this out, we're gonna fill this in, and we definitely have a different style to it. I think it's gonna look a lot better.
So we decided that the zigzag springs were causing damage to the frame.
Yes.
So there's 2 ways. I mean, we're going to remove those. We determined too that we couldn't put coil springs in because the frame's a little too thin for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice would have been from there. It's going to be a foam seat, but the choice would have been with the webbing to put it on top of the bottom.
Right.
So do you remember why we chose the bottom?
No, you said that once, and I don't remember what you said.
Because there was a lot of stress put on the front rail, and it was starting to bend a little bit.
Okay.
So I decided to do it on the bottom. What that means is we just put more foam in it to build it out. What we're going to do is build it out into a crown,
Okay.
and we're gonna upholster this so that with the foam, the polyurethane that we use is a high density ultra foam.
Okay.
So it's going to actually, by the time when we're done,
Mm-hmm.
you won't be able to tell the difference if it's a spring or if it's foam.
Now, just noticing this with the way the frame is this going to be a problem? I mean, could it have been better on top, given the way the frame is? On the
No, the corner blocks that you're talking about won't be
No.
considered. It won't make a difference.
Okay.
No.
So
So
this is a good lesson to start. Now we
Yeah.
start from scratch, and now we get to build this up again.
so Jimmy's got all his channels on the back.
Yes.
It's a channel or a shell back, either one. I like the description of a shell back because it looks more like a shell. Channel to me is still straight up. A lot of Art Deco has channel backs.
Okay.
But it could be called either one. So this was, Jimmy was on his second class, and what we're doing on the online classes, you guys, just to let you know, to try to streamline them a little bit more. In the beginning classes with Jimmy and Michelle, we were showing every staple being taken out.
Oh yeah,
And Patrick, I think it's a little tedious for some people, especially since we have other videos on YouTube to show how to proper use of tools and things
Yes.
like that. So we kind of streamlined it by giving Jimmy homework. So you don't see him taking a lot of the stuff apart.
No, I strap it on my back. I walk. You know how many miles to?
We make Jimmy walk.
Yeah,
he's
make me walk along the major road.
uphill both ways. Right,
Uphill
Jimmy?
both ways,
Yeah.
and you know, with no light. Actually, a little bit of a light in my head, but.
But anyhow, I think that sums it up today, and I think that this was a great question and answer. Are there any other questions or answers, or does Patrick, do you have any other business that you want to talk about? Any comments?
Not that I can think of. Just, well, sorry about last week. That's all I can really think of. We weren't on
Yeah.
last week, but
Well, we'll
We're getting into a rhythm now.
Kevin and I are going to sign up, I think, in January or maybe even September for an audio-visual class.
Yeah, you can do it yourselves.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna try to set up a satellite and see what we can do.
What
I was actually in Target when you called me in North Carolina.
What comes so natural to Patrick with this.
Don't you just hate that when it's this is what you're doing. You haven't touched anything, but yet he can tell you what you would think.
Well, when he was 8, I bought him a camcorder because he had an interest in film. I wanted to encourage his interest, and they came. No kidding, the camcorder came with instructions this thick.
Yeah, of course.
And so I put the camcorder down on the table. I started reading to him and try to understand it. He was off already. He knew all the applications. I don't know how that happens. Or it's still a mystery to me.
We're in the Flintstone era, Kevin. You got to remember that. We are in the Flintstone era.
Didn't you just buy a car with a hole in it and you can just
great mileage though. A little tough up on the hills, but trust me, when you're coming down, it picks up a lot of speed.
Well, that's we're old. What can we do? We don't adjust too well. It's not
that we adjust too well. Things change a little bit, and we
too much.
Exactly.
So with that, I guess if there's no more questions or comments, so we'll say goodbye till the next time, right, Jimmy?
Yes, we will say goodbye till the next time. Everyone have a good week and a weekend, and then hopefully we'll see you next week.
We will.
Right?
Definitely.
Definitely say
Not
that.
going anywhere now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.